I have a harder time eating octopus now, but other fish are still on the menu. Hi, my name is Dustin Chinn. I am the playwright of Boat Show. So what's happened since the first reading of Boat Show in June? Well, first of all, I got the wonderful feedback from Talkback and the reading, which was very heartening, but it also gave me a lot of ideas to think about for the next iteration of it. And I went on a liveaboard trip. I went on a dive trip to the Red Sea, where I was on a boat for 7 nights, diving with 22 Maltese divers. And on this trip, I learned a lot of things personally, and really, among them, what happened was I had a lot of equipment failures, a lot of things that happened underwater, and one problem that I caught just before I jumped in that really reframed my connection on how fragile your survival can be in that kind of environment, and also my relationship to diving and what it means when you get to hang around people from another country. And I don't know if you know where Malta is. Malta is in the Mediterranean. It's a European island nation of about 500,000 people, but their connection to the ocean, I think, is very special to be a part of. And so in a lot of ways, it reinforced a lot of the themes I was already working on in the play. But it also made me think about some of the things I wanted to expand even further. The storyline with the main character, Fiona, I think. I did a lot of thinking about her relationship to her dad. And there were actually 2 father-daughter pairs, dive buddies on the boat, which was really wonderful to see, because you got to see the kids' relationship to the ocean and the way that kids shared with their fathers, and it just made me think that I was really onto something with the first draft that I presented. So yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about all the stuff that the play talks about in real life, and hopefully I'll be able to translate that and take the wonderful feedback from the talkback and your suggestions that were written down and incorporate all those things into the second draft. And third draft, knowing the way I work with the chance on these 2 readings that I'm going to be presenting in October. What really struck me in the talkback in particular was the way that the play evoked a sense of connection with nature in general. And I think that being able to articulate an appreciation for wild spaces and the privilege of being in those spaces, fleshing that out, I think hope brings out that theme more. And getting to the universal through the specific, when you talk about something very specifically, that's when it tends to resonate more. So I think that feeling, how to draw out that idea, I think is something that was one of my biggest takeaways from the feedback I received. Another thing that I was thinking about is the way that the lessons you learn underwater translates to your everyday, your day-to-day existence. So that's a theme that I want to revisit in one particular key scene. There's actually a follow-up scene that I'm gonna try to experiment with and see if it works or not. But that was something that was touched upon that I could expand upon more from the first draft. So show up on the 9th October. You get to see if it works. If it doesn't work, come to see it on the 12th and see if it's gone, if you can notice the difference. Yeah, I think one of the things is the feelings that you have when you're no longer in those places, when you're no longer in the water, the memories that you have to get kind of misty-eyed about it. How do you carry that? If your hobby is visiting wild spaces and being around wild animals, how do those feelings sustain you when you're at a computer at a desk in an open floor plan? And the ways that being in contact really make your life help you get by, and the hope that those places can still be there for you and your future generations, I think is something that I really want to keep on revisiting. I think one of the things I want to flesh out is that the people you dive with. One of the divers on this last trip that I went on actually said to me that all divers are my friends, which I thought was like such a lovely sentiment. And the way that you form bonds with people that if you're the least experienced diver, which has often been my case, the way that people look out for you when you don't even notice it, the way that they like sometimes your equipment not be on right, or you lose something and then they find it, or they point something out to you that you weren't noticing, technique wise, or they realize that you're struggling with something, and they'll just come right over and help you. I think there's a sense of attentiveness and care that happens with people you just barely met, but when you're like 100 feet underwater, it just heightens that sense of collectiveness and collective attentiveness that you have with each other. And I find myself, you hang out with people like afterwards and you talk about it. You could be from vastly different political and day-to-day backgrounds. Like some of these people, like, I talk to them, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm an accountant. Oh, I don't have any friends who are accountants other than dive buddies. And the way that just brings you together, especially because there's a hint of that danger if things, there are a lot of things that can go wrong underwater, and I think you're always kind of aware of that. And so when the underlying stakes are so literal, and you do come into situations where something goes wrong, and then the way that you support each other and calm each other down, I think that's a general idea, I think, in diving, in being in places that like the underwater world, that I think that I want to flesh out more. Here's a tip: if your regulator mouthpiece becomes separated from the main hose, like it did to me 80 feet underwater, just because, technically you can just put the hose over your mouth and just breathe on it like a giant straw. I didn't know about it at the time. I didn't want to experiment and find out. I switched over to my other one, my backup one, but just in case you find yourself in that situation, yeah, the hose still works as a straw. We ate sushi. I had Egyptian sushi. After we got back, we went to the Marriott Hotel, and the Maltese people wanted Asian food, and I was skeptical because it was one of those restaurants where they do like different types of Asian foods. And so, but it was shockingly good, and I think part of it was the ingredients, like the Red Sea shrimp and the Red Sea tuna were actually quite delicious. I will say, I still eat fish because for a lot of reasons, but I think the bigger conversation about sustainability is on a lot of people's minds, and I think that we can work to achieve a balance. But no, I have a harder time eating octopus now, but other fish are still on the menu. I don't think that every fish out there is for consumption. But however, if I were to be, I watch a lot of spearfishing videos, and spearfishing, I think, is a way of harvesting fish than others because you're targeting a specific animal, whereas a lot of commercial fishing is just dredging. A lot of shark species are actually dying out because of, I mean, finning is one thing, but the way that some boats just grab everything indiscriminately has more to do with population declines than going after an individual animal. So if I had the stamina and the training to be a spear fisherman, trying it, that's like a very intense sport. Is intense. Like free diving is just a whole other animal. Yeah, I don't when I see animals, I don't think immediately to kill them. That's like going to the forest and seeing like chipmunks and thinking that they're like immediately on the menu too. It's like technically I think you could harvest chipmunks, but I personally don't get the urge when I see them. I don't look at all animals as food. Maybe it's just me. Animal wise, we were in a swim through in the southern part of our route, and my dive buddy tapped me on the shoulder and told me to look around. I did what? And we saw this moray eel, which was longer than me and thicker than my leg, just swimming behind us. One of our guides said that they hunt by smell, so because we're not on the menu, there's really no danger. But I've only really seen moray eels swim out in the open at night, so to see one, it was technically daytime, just doing its thing was and something of that size was it's very unnerving. You tell yourself all the time, it's like that thing's not out to hurt me, and it just looks freaky, but it's like it's like a giant thick snake that yeah, just does something with the anal part of your brain. So that was quite a sight. I've not gone diving since the Red Sea, and I think I'm planning like a couple of different possibilities in the air. I always love going back to the Yucatan Peninsula because the cenotes there are gorgeous. I have talked with some potential buddies about maybe a trip to the Maldives or to the Philippines, because some of those itineraries, you can go to these lakes where they have these jellyfish that don't sting. Literally hundreds of thousands of jellyfish can go into these lakes. That's kind of on there. But also, my sister was thinking about taking me to Belize next year for a big birthday, and maybe get to dive the Big Blue Hole there, which is like one of the big blue holes that exist in the ocean. And so yeah, like there's so many places to go to, and nothing concrete, but always thinking. I have had the privilege of having giant 27-foot wingspan manta rays go over my head. They apparently like the bubbles that come out of your regulator. There's like a little bubble that hits them, and the ones in Mexico are certain parts of Mexico are like that. So I think that if we got to spend more time together, we could really hit it off. I would like to be friends with an orca, but I think that they just lame, because the way that they I haven't been in the water with an orca before. The dolphins just like to mess around with you in ways that are can be borderline sinister. And I don't want to get too much into it, but dolphins are fun, but also scarier than sharks sometimes. So I would like to be manta friends, and in my heart, an orca, but I have my doubts. I think it's really cool that I get to revisit this twice, to have two different readings. I think that how the play development cycle works is that every single time you do something, whether it's a reading or the dream is to have a production, you just learn so much when you get another crack at it. And so with a lot of spaces closing down, development spaces closing down, it's just such a gift to be able to have a place like a home away from home where you get another crack at it. So super excited, super grateful. And yeah, going back to Garden Grove for some fun as well. Come watch the presentation of Boat Show at the Chance on October 9th and or the 12th.